Right on, man. Well, the one thing that I wanted to ask is obviously this past weekend was supposed to be at Orange County Speedway with the Phase 2 rule, and here in North Carolina, you're a North Carolina resident as well. You've had to go through it as well, but talk about how quickly the transition from going to a racetrack that you've never been to, kind of tucked away in the mountains in the middle of nowhere. What was the anticipation leading up to the weekend?
I was very excited, honestly. I'd done a little bit of homework on it, watching some videos and races from that track in different cars, but still see how they were able to race. And so watching that, kind of pumped me up. I'm a big fan of two-groove racetracks. I like I said before, the Hickories and Orange Counties where you can run side by side. And if your car ain't perfect, you're not totally done and out of the race. You can move up and move around and find other things your car likes. And I thought in the videos watching, I thought I seen some characteristics of that at this track. So I was really pumped about it. I knew it was narrow and it was tight, but in the corners it seemed like you could spread out and run two different grooves if you needed to. So I was excited about that. And then biggest thing, I know it kind of sucks getting rained out, but ever since we got that new RNS car, it's been a huge help for me. I know what to look for in the car and some of the adjustments we need to. We kind of got a box that we stay in, and I know what it kind of needs. So I was excited. I feel like we can take that car about anywhere and run good with it as long as we're inside of our box and as long as I have a good feel on the car and track, and we were able to do that. And obviously I wouldn't be able to do it without Marcus. I mean, he helps us a ton with no track time, and they were able to go test Thursday and give me some notes on it. That helped a ton because I was able to unload my car and work on it right away and just fine tune it because it was so close. And that helped. That was the biggest help because, like I said, we only had, I don't know, we might have run 30 practice laps. That was it.
Okay, so you're going to a new track, and you kind of touched on it right there. But how do you go about preparing for a new track? Do you get in your phone book and start, or phone book? Do you get in your cell phone and start going through your numbers, or like you said, do you call up Marcus and see what he's got for the track, or are you like an iRacing guy? Did you call up your iRacing guy, buddies, and say what track is similar to this track?
Honestly, man, I lean on Marcus more than anybody just because they do a lot of testing, and he's either already been there multiple times or is going there before the race, before I get there. So he gives me really good notes, and he's who I lean on the most, and just basically gives me everything I need, and it kind of helps me compare the track to, like he told me, it was kind of like Ace and Hickory, and after running, I believe it, and I saw the characteristics he was talking about. So that really helps me and know what I need to do to my race car and know what kind of I need to expect, if it's going to wear the tires a lot or if it's going to be pretty easy on the tires, what the case is there, and he helps the most.
Well, that was my question. You kind of went ahead and answered it. I was going to ask, what characteristics is the racetrack, because we've had some people say that it had like an Orange County feel. And obviously a lot of people never got the opportunity. You might be able to go to someone like Deep McCaskill, but to me it kind of resembles kind of a mini version of a North Wilkesboro, kind of up and down, and
you got the curve on the inside.
You got the curve on the inside. So
yeah.
But yeah, like I said, I thought it was a really neat racetrack, and I know that there was a lot of question marks on the Cars Tour could make it work there, and I thought that Jack Jack and his team did a great time. Langley Austin had a great opportunity there to have a race, and I thought the racing I think it was the best late model race that I've seen from start to finish all year long. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, obviously, you're kind of, probably biased to it, but you ran up front, but you didn't run up and lead every lap. I mean, you had to really battle. You had to fight there. Minnie Tyrell was up there at the front for the first, third of the race, but talk a little bit about that and kind of the duration of the race and how it went for you.
Yeah, it went pretty good. Like I said, I figured it was going to be tight race, and just the way the multi-groove tracks race like that, it's so even on restarts. It's hard to kind of get an edge on somebody, and I figured that field would be pretty bunched up on restarts, especially, and after the first couple of laps, and we did see that, and it's kind of funny. We still pick about it and laugh, but when I got the lead and caution come out and I had to choose inside or outside, I was back and forth on the radio with them guys. I was like, what do y'all think? I mean, I know I just beat him on the bottom, but I thought I just got a good restart and kind of got lucky there. And he missed a corner or something, and it wasn't that way. And I chose the top, so that was kind of my fault. But, it's just part of it, too, is just trying to figure out what's going to happen there, because I didn't start on the outside, but I think one time previous to that, and I had a car in front of me, so I wasn't able to tell where Mike was. I seen Mike take the top every time until then.
Mm-hmm.
And so I figured there was something up there, and he knew something because he's been around there more, so I figured I had to try it out and see. And we did, and we definitely learned what not to do.
So you said,
other than that, I felt like the racing was pretty good. Going back and watching the replay, it looked like there was hard racing all throughout the field and a lot of side-by-side racing. I know, like I said, I know it was a tight racetrack, and the wall comes up quick off of Fort especially. So, but for everybody to be able to race like that and really not have a whole lot of tore-up cars was really good. And honestly, we've had that all year. We really ain't had a lot of crazy wrecking and dumb stuff happen throughout everybody. Everybody's raced with a lot of sense so far, knock on wood. But, I kind of expected a lot of that, just the way the track was laid out. Because some of the racetracks we go to, people don't realize is so line sensitive. Like Ace was super line sensitive. And not that it didn't have a second groove, but it was definitely not near as good as the bottom on restarts. So when you go to tracks like that, it's kind of tough to race, because then you get in an odd position, or even position actually, and you kind of not necessarily done, but you kind of hung out to dry there sometimes, and it could really bite you in the butt. So to be able to have multi-groove track like that, I really enjoy and like.
So you mentioned it right there. At some tracks you get stuck. What do you think about the lane, the choose cone? Are you for it? Don't really care one way or the other?
I like it, I guess. I mean, the leaders are the leader for a reason, so he should have some kind of advantage on the restarts, I believe. But as far, I personally like it from front row on back, especially because you don't have to worry about choosing. It's already picked for you. We're like cone races. Some of the NASCAR events we run is cone, and it's so frustrating sometimes, to pick the cone at some of them tracks. And sometimes I don't like making decisions like that, so I kind of like when it's already picked for me. So I'm a fan of the leader choosing rule.
Well, let me ask you this, man, and you talked about it a little bit, and when talking about going on the radio and asking your guys, what they thought as far as, which lane to choose after that restart, it really takes me to the next question. You, this year, for most people know you ran super late models for the last couple of years, the 2018 Cars Super Late Model Champion, but you teamed up with Jimmy Mooring here in 2020. Talk a little bit about how that came about and why you decided to make the move back to late model after running super late models for a couple of years.
Yeah, so I drove super late models for Brandon Risley for the last couple of years, and I really enjoyed them. Supers, I liked them a lot. It was tough, man. It was just kind of, I don't know, from what I felt like it was about money, and who had the most expensive piece, it seemed like, because that's about how they ran is, who spent the most money on their car. And so it was kind of frustrating, tough, and in the budget we were in, we weren't able to afford a new car. So at the end of the year, Brandon, the owner of Sterling Building Group, he wasn't really wanting to do it, so we were just going to kind of back off and just run here and there, I guess, with the Super. And then about, I guess, middle to the end of last year, Rayvon Clark is actually who put the good word in for me to Jimmy Mooring. So then it's kind of funny how everything worked. I actually moved out east here and started working in Goldsboro. Well, Jimmy's actually from Goldsboro, so it was kind of funny. I met him one day at lunch, and we kind of talked about things. And he was kind of filling me out, and I was kind of filling him out, see what he wanted, as far as plans in the future. And he came to a couple of the super races and watched and felt good about things, and we talked more, and eventually evolved into, driving his car at the end of the year there at South Boston. And then when, unfortunately we didn't have a good run, but he was happy with everything, with the way things went. And how we kind of handled everything. So with Brandon kind of wanting to not necessarily get out of super racing, but not go forward with it, it kind of worked out where we were able to put two guys together and build a very strong late model stock team. And fortunately, Jimmy, I told him, and it might be a little, I don't know how to describe it, needy, but I felt like we needed to get a new car. I mean, I felt like his car, not necessarily outdated, but just, we didn't really, I couldn't quite get it right, and we didn't have the best of runs with it. And I felt like to be able to compete with the Bobby McCartys and the Josh Berrys, we needed to get in good equipment if he had the expectations that I had, So we were able to get him talked into a new RNS car. Man, that thing has been the difference. And that's what I was telling somebody else on another show. The COVID deal kind of played in our favor because we ran his Hedgecock car the first race, and it was all right. We did okay. And like I said before, it's so hard to build a car while you're racing throughout the race season, because you're also trying to work on the car and get it prepped and ready for the weekend to go racing, along with putting together another car, and it's so hard. So when COVID came along and shut everything down, it was basically like our second off season. It worked out perfect. So we were all on it, working hard, and able to finish it before our second car store race. We went back racing that, I guess it was Ace. And that was the really game changer when we got in that car. And the factory help we've had with Marcus and Arness and all them guys, we've all been working together and built on it. So that's kind of how it all evolved with Jimmy and myself. Rayvon, like I said, put the good word in for me, and I guess that's when Jimmy started looking more into me and studying me more and coming out and hanging with us, and kind of snowballed into that. And man, I've been very lucky to have that, because it just, there's not that many owners out there anymore that do it like we do. So it was very special, and I'm glad we were able to run good and do good for him, because I know he puts a lot of money in it, and we put a lot of time and effort in it. So
yeah, I think the coolest video that I saw, and obviously, we were at the race, we were set up on the back stretch, had a bird's eye view of it, but one of the coolest videos that I saw Sunday morning was a video that Christina Ivy had taken of your guys right there as you cross the start-finish line, and just that little fist pump that Jimmy, kind of a half-assed fist pump, man. But I'm like, man, that's awesome, man. And I mean, you saw it on Facebook. I think a lot of Jimmy, and it was really happy for him because, as you and I talked about earlier today, he committed to the Cars Tour last year. They didn't have the best of luck. They they went through a couple drivers there, especially, middle to the end of the year, and obviously landed on the right one because they put you in the car at South Boston, and the rest is history, so to speak. You're leading the points heading into this weekend's race at Langley, a place that you ran really well at about 6 weeks ago, 4 or 5 weeks ago at the Hampton Heat. Talk a little bit about what it means, going into this weekend as the points leader, the most recent winner, and a track that you had a lot of success at the last time you were there.
Yeah, so back to the video, man, that was definitely probably my favorite video of the whole week. And even the finish and all, that video is so cool to see my dad and mom and Jimmy and Phil and all them people happy.
Yeah.
Because it's not, a lot of people kind of get hung up about the driving stuff, but it's not only about me. It's about them, too. They got a lot of time and effort into it, and those people deserve it just as much as anybody on our team. So it was super special. That was so cool video to see everybody, happy, because it's tough to get a car store win. They definitely don't give them away. So
oh yeah,
that was cool. I really enjoyed that video a lot. But yeah, definitely looking forward to going to Langley. That was another racetrack we kind of picked up on quick. Just from the help of Marcus. Them being there and testing and kind of give me the notes I need and unload right where we need to be and just tweaking on it there. So, yeah, I have a good feeling about it. As long as, like I said, we can go up there and run in the top 3 and compete, man, I'll be happy. And I feel like we got a good shot at doing that. I got a good notebook from the Hampton Heat. And I know the tires are a little different from Cars Tour, but the track should be the same. And I'm excited. I just hope we get to race.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those deals, man, but... how many times was that your first time to Langley back in a few weeks ago? Had you been there before?
No, that was the first time I ever seen it that weekend.
Talk a little bit about what that track's like, for someone that might not have this never been to Langley or never seen it. Kind of explain what it might be characteristic wise to somewhere that someone might be familiar with.
So it was. We went to Carteret a few weeks before that, and it was similar to that, being super flat. Langley was just very smooth, and to me, it had a lot of grip. And it was really wide. There's a lot of racing. That was one thing I noticed. There's a lot of racing room. Not that you're going to be able to run around the grass on the bottom, but
right.
They had to there at the end of the race for the Hampton Heat. But so that was cool. Like I said, I like that. There's plenty of racing room there. You could run side by side, no problem. You weren't bouncing off each other. Like I said, it was smooth and had a lot of grip. And the whole everything about Langley was super cool. I wish we went there more. The racetrack, I really enjoyed the racetrack, and then outside the racetrack, there's Dang Air Force Base across the street, and on Friday practice day, they were out there putting on an air show for us, doing all kinds of twists and flips with airplanes and stuff. It was super cool. So, and then of course going to get some good seafood, out there by the water was cool.
What restaurant did you go to?
I think it's called Surf Riders. There at Blue Water.
So what do you recommend?
Cool. We went. It was at night. That was a place Rayvon told us about. It was at night, so you couldn't really see all that good, but you could definitely tell there's a bunch of boats out there. So it was neat, sitting right there on the water, and had some good seafood. So we're looking forward to going back there, and just excited to get back to Langley. It was cool place, and they had a great facility, super nice facility, and had a great staff there.
Well, Kirk Ipock says hello. I know obviously Kirk's on the car, and I want to talk about him a little bit. We're gonna have him on a show in a couple of weeks when we go down to Carteret. But I mean, obviously, Kirk's got a great relationship with Jimmy, and obviously he's on the quarter panel of your car. Talk about what Kirk Ipock means to you as a driver in the Cars Tour. Obviously, with his contribution and his commitment to the series as a whole, and then obviously drivers such as yourself and Bobby McCarty. Talk a little bit about Kurt and what he means to the series and to you in particular.
Yeah, he definitely means a lot to the series to be able to support it like that, because that series is a good deal, and we need it to be around to have good racing and a place to race. So for him to support the series like that is definitely special to me, and then also to support the drivers, because if it wasn't for people like him and Jimmy, there would be no way I could do this. With me just being a working man and my dad a working man, we couldn't afford it. So to have people to support us and back us like that, man, it means a lot and helps tremendously to our race team, and I'm sure everybody else, to get to the racetrack every weekend. So it's good to have those people, and definitely got to thank them people a lot. And it's cool to see him in Victory Lane, or meet him in Victory Lane there Saturday, and see his impression, to do good for him, and because I know he enjoys seeing that Solid Rock decal in Victory Lane.
Absolutely.
So you said you moved to the big town of Goldsboro, which last I remembered, the only thing I think I saw there was a mall. So with COVID, on your day off, what are we doing in the big town of Goldsboro? What are we riding in? What's on the playlist? What's going on?
Well, actually, I live in Greenville. My fiance, she goes to medical school at ECU, so I moved in with her, and felt like I had to grow up and get a real job and stuff. So on my day off, man, like during COVID and stuff, if I wasn't working on the car, then usually we'd just kind of take it easy around Greenville and hang out and just enjoy not doing anything really, because most of the time if it ain't me gone, it's her gone, or we're with family or doing something usually. We very rarely are we in Greenville on the weekend just relaxing. So we took I think I only had like 2 weekends off where we stayed here and just hung out and ate some local food here and just relaxed, man. Just enjoyed being off and having a little break. So ain't much happening.
Well, you're originally from, is it Trinity?
Yeah.
Which that's what, just south of Greensboro, right?
Yep.
So, all right. So I'm not going to say but that's a little bit more Western barbecue, a little more Lexington style barbecue. As accustomed to that Eastern barbecue that you're close to now. Have you dove into the Eastern barbecue, or are you still more of a Western Lexington barbecue guy?
Man, when it comes to pork, I'm an all Eastern barbecue kind of guy.
That's my kind of answer, brother. My kind of answer.
Matter of fact, me and Jimmy ate lunch today at Parker's and Wilson.
Oh, Parker's is my go-to,
we try to
man.
go up there once a week if I can get away from work, and we'll go up there and have lunch. But when I'm in town here in Greenville, me and Katie will go to Parker's. If not, then there's another one south of Greenville here called I think it's Skyline Barbecue.
Man,
That's very good.
Look, you missing out on the best barbecue in Greenville. You got to go to B's Barbecue in Greenville.
You know, it is a mile from me, and I've been wanting to go, but it's always sold out when I get back from work.
Yeah, you
got to
go
early. It's only open for lunch.
There's a reason. It's the best barbecue. Like, man, you got so on your next day off, you need to go be at B's before they open so that you can make sure you get some of that barbecue.
I know. I need to, and I've heard a lot about it. I've been wanting to go. Like I said, it's just hard with our schedules and stuff to do it, but maybe one day I'll get by there.
Yeah. Well, I'm sitting here looking at the points as of this past weekend. You've been the points leader for the last few weeks. You got a 16-point lead over Connor Mosack, 17-point lead over Lane Riggs, and you and Lane went into the Hickory race. I'm kind of tit for tat. In the last couple of races, you've really stretched it out. Some good finishes. 6 races, 5 top 10s, 4 top 5s, and then obviously the win this past Saturday. We talked about this, and it kind of gave you kind of a heads up, but with obviously you talked about the COVID and where we're at with that, and obviously we're going to race this weekend at Langley. But the next weekend is scheduled for Carteret County. As of right now, everything's a go for that weekend. But then there's a little uncertainty as far as how the season will wrap up. We've still got 2 dates. We've got the South Boston race, which we don't know what's going to happen with that, and then obviously the Old North State National that's still on schedule for Orange County in October. How do you look at being the points leader going into these next, obviously this weekend and the next scheduled race? But how does it sit with you as far as the points leader with the uncertainty of how the end of the schedule is going to wrap up?
Well, the biggest security I feel like I have is just that I feel like our race car is good enough we could take it anywhere and compete for wins, I feel like. So that is definitely a confidence booster for us. But we still got to keep our head down and digging and working hard to make sure we got fast race cars and have good finishes. I don't know. I don't really like to look at the points. I know they're there, and I do look at it, but you still got to remember, you still got to run good, still got to finish and do the best you can. So it's tough. A lot of people want to talk about it and stuff. I don't know. I'm kind of weird. I don't really like to talk about it. I just want to go out there and do good and run the best we can and see how things shake out. Because I feel like if we keep doing what we've been doing, everything will just kind of take care of itself. And if we can get a win and some more, maybe a pole or two, that would really help. So
yeah. I think the biggest, we've had Bobby McCarty on our show a couple of times, and we talked to him. I remember very clearly the beginning of last year when he was defending his series title. He said he got out to a big points lead, and he said that he felt like he had to race really. He had to tiptoe around the last 3 or 4 races because he felt like people weren't giving him. They're a little more aggressive around him because they knew he was running for a championship and that he'd be a little less likely to be as aggressive. What's your approach on that? I mean, I think you kind of mentioned it, that you just want to go out there, continue to keep your head down and keep running for wins and doing what you guys are doing.
Yeah, and I think that kind of goes back to the way I've said before, is kind of the way I was brought up racing. I always had to work on my stuff and I always had to make sure that at the end of the night I still had a car to race the next week. So, because if I wrecked it or whatever, we were going to sit out weeks or years, racing. So I don't really, it might bite me sometimes, but, I don't really go out there and try not to do anything stupid or crazy that would jeopardize, a good finish or a good run that night. So as long as we can just keep doing what we've been doing, I feel pretty confident about it. Not that, I don't know. I wouldn't necessarily say I'd tiptoe, but I mean, you definitely got to be cautious about a few things and some of the drivers. But I feel like for the most part, I mean, other people, I show them respect, and I feel like they'll show me respect back. So that's the biggest thing, is worrying about the other people, I guess you'd say. But still, I mean, you got to do what you got to do, and still winning matters, you know.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I don't know that Jack McNeely's listening or watching. He may at some point, and may get it on the YouTube broadcast. But you know, like we mentioned, some of these last couple of races up in the air as far as where they whether they'll happen. I think they'll happen, but I think it may be a situation where they have to maybe move one of these or two of these races to other racetracks that do have the ability to run. If you were sitting in Jack McNeely's shoes right now and you had the opportunity to move a South Boston race or an Orange County race to a track that, you know, Jared Fryar would want to run, where would you take the race and why?
Honestly, I know. Don't let it, I kind of, like I told you before, got a lot on my mind to say and stuff. If I don't touch on your question, like I said, don't feel bad to ask me again. But personally, it doesn't matter to me. I know there's a few racetracks I don't want to see on the schedule, but at the end of the day, I'm a racer, man. I don't care where they put us. I'll be glad to race, just like Franklin County. You know, going there, it looked like a good racetrack to me, so I was ready for it. And I'm ready for anything. So I don't want to say, but yeah, there's a few racetracks that I've heard of mention that I'm not big fans of. But
you'd probably be okay going back to Franklin County, though, wouldn't you?
Oh, absolutely, especially after the run they had.
So let's see. He runs Franklin County. He'd probably like to go back to Langley. I guess Langley would probably be on the list.
Orange County.
You an Orange County fan?
Oh, big time. A big time Orange County fan. Like I said, Orange County Hickory are two of my favorite tracks.
Okay.
I mean, like I said, that multi-groove racetrack Orange County has is awesome, and seems like it's put on a good race. Actually, I went and I sat in the stands last year for the Old North State Nationals and thought that was a hell of a race. I mean, that was just awesome there at the end. Them guys racing like that, and I love it. You know, I love that kind of racing.
So Mr. IPOC has chimed in again, and he said to go to Pete Jones Barbecue in Greenville. I've never heard of that.
Neither have I.
Maybe I have to check it out.
It might be somebody's house. No one heard it might be somebody's house.
It could be. He's
it
wide
wouldn't
open.
surprise me. It was kind of funny during COVID times. Jimmy and Bill, they had a cookout, and they cooked turkey, they cooked pork every weekend, it seemed like.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this. I mean, obviously the Cars Tour is first and foremost, but have you and Jimmy talked about, I mean, if I'm not mistaken, I think you guys have gone down to Carteret at least once or twice and run down there in an off weekend for the Cars Tour. Any talk about any of these potential opportunities to run big money races? I know that I think it's the biggest unkept secret with some of the stuff that's being talked about, but is there talks about being able to do some of that stuff if some of that stuff becomes official?
Oh yeah, I think if Jimmy could, he'd go racing every weekend. So
yeah,
that's been good. Yeah, we've been talking, and especially after running so good, you know, he's ready, pumped up, he's ready to go racing. So am I. So yeah, we're going to definitely looking to go in other places and chase a little bit of money. I guess after the Car Tour season or whenever they announce it. I know there's talk of Carteret having a big race at the end of the year that we're going to go to.
Well, your boss is listening, by the way, because he said that Pete Jones Barbecue is an actual business.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
I can try it out, man. Take me.
Good to see that Jimmy's chimed in and checking you out. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I think there's going to be some opportunities. I mean, I've heard some different things. I've heard Franklin County with a big race. I've heard Greenville Pickens with a big race. And look, I talked with Jack today with the Cars Tour, and he's confident in that. He feels like there's still a great opportunity to have the Old North State Nationals at Orange County, and I'm telling you, man, I mean, I think everybody that's a short track race fan wants that race to be there just because of the quality of racing that you get at Orange County. And I think, too, I mean, you can probably attest to this. I feel like that Orange County is probably the most attended cars races year in, year out, just because they've got great race fans in that area.
Absolutely. And that's another thing I was about to say. It's so good about Orange County, man. When I went to that race, it was packed. And I think about all the races, they've had about full stands. So that is super special, too. Just like Franklin County, man, they had a great crowd come out. And that was super cool to race in front of all the people. Because some of the tracks, we go to don't have that many people. So it's super special racing against that many people and kind of get our names out there and expose the series. And that was a big weekend for Franklin County. That's probably one of their biggest races they've had there, and who knows how long. So that was super cool to kind of get those fans used to what we do and how things go with us and the competition that shows up. And it means a lot to be able to go race other places too. They're supposed to be tough times right now.
I mentioned to Langley. We talked on Saturday during qualifying, and I told him, I said, man, it's like, because he's talking about doing this big race at Franklin County now that Martinsville's canceled and they're not going to have that. Man, could you imagine the amount of people that would flock to Franklin County if he were to do a 200-lap late model race with a 100-lap modified race in the same weekend? Could you imagine the amount of people that would just... I mean, it would be insane. It'd be like Woodstock for short track racing.
Yeah, no doubt.
I feel like that. Yeah, I feel like they'd definitely run out of parking there. That would be huge, for sure. It'd be good, I think. I mean, I know there was a lot of people that that said they wish they would have went after seeing the video.
Oh yeah,
and that's like another thing too. I felt like not that people had high expectations, but nobody really expected the racing super and late model stock race to be that good at a track like that.
Yeah.
So it was cool to put on that. But another track I've been wanting to go to, and since they're kind of getting their owners or promoter deal switched up and going, is Florence. So I'm looking forward to going there now that I guess they're kind of switching everything over from Myrtle Beach to there. So hopefully they have their big, I would say, Myrtle Beach 400 race there this year. That's a good deal. I mean, you can go race for a bunch of money. I think if all these races happen, it's really good for the race team and everybody. So
yeah,
I hope all that stuff happens.
Yeah, well, I think too. I think we're in a position right now where obviously different states have different rules, and folks are some are tiptoeing around it and making things happen. Some of them are being a little more cautious, but. Obviously, Steve down at Myrtle Beach, he's moved over to Florence. It's going to be very interesting, like you said, to see how that takes off and once they get settled in over there. But I think that Bob Lowry and Andy Marquise up at Carteret County, I think that they could potentially get some of those cars from that Myrtle Beach area as well, which I think would really help the car count and the show at Carteret County Speedway. But yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting. I mean, and I'll be honest with you, I wasn't a huge fan of Myrtle Beach just because I didn't think the racing was great. It's a lot of tire conservation. Let's slow down and run. I watched Lee Pulliam almost go a lap down in the cars race 2 years ago and didn't come back and win just because.
That was some of the best strategy I've ever seen, though, because he knew the 40-lap caution was coming out. And then as soon as the 40-lap caution came out.
The differences of racing, the styles of racing is just totally different.
Yeah. I'm going to be honest with you. I think, let me ask you this. What's, and the reason I'm going to ask you this is because you were part of one of the probably the best cars finishes in cars history. What are your thoughts on Tri-County Speedway up in Hudson?
That's another really good racetrack I like. I think I've only raced there once or maybe twice. It's been a while, but yeah, that's another racetrack I'd really like to go to. It seems like it always promotes good racing. I know they had a good finish there a couple of years ago, 3 wide, but hopefully we get to go back there. I've been always saying we need to go there on Friday nights and race on Saturday nights. I've been saying that forever. I'd like to do that.
Well, let me ask you this, and I know this is where I hope Jack's not watching or not listening. This has been my thing. Like I've been, I've been a supporter, obviously, of the Cars Tour for the better part of 4 years now. And what are your thoughts on a one-day show and what that may look like? Obviously, it definitely. And the reason I bring that up is because NASCAR, with obviously the COVID and the pandemic going on, they've basically gone to one-day shows with no qualifying, no practice. I don't necessarily go to that extent, but what are your thoughts on just a one-day show, showing up on Saturday morning, pit gates open at 8 o'clock, and you run at a 7 o'clock show, as opposed to a Saturday or a Friday afternoon practice, hotel rooms for a lot of teams because they're out of town, and then I say a lot of hurry up and wait as far as what Saturdays look like. What are your thoughts on a one-day show?
Sign me up. I'm all about it. It's kind of funny you say that because it's so funny. I complain about the practice. I'm like, man, we're here all day Friday. We might as well just line up and dang race or go somewhere and race. It's like, I want to race. Back in the day when they ran late models, they'd go run Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and we don't hardly ever do that anymore. When you don't see guys doing it, and I understand it is a big risk, I wanted to do it when we ran Ace on Friday night. So let's go somewhere Saturday, but you're like, if we get through, then we will, or what, And it's tough because it does take probably a little bit more time, but at the end of the week, I think it's better, and I'm all about that. It's another, so I complain about practice. Well, the years I complain about practice are we go to the racetracks and get zero. The track, though, well, let me back up. When I complain about practice so much, when we do go to a new racetrack, that's when we get no practice. I think the first time I went to Nashville, we had no practice on Friday. It rained out, and we had like 1 hour and then qualified the race. And that was like a big deal because never been there. That's probably the biggest track I've run on. Yep. And we actually were running pretty good there. And then, of course, same thing happened this past weekend. Got rained out, didn't get to go test, got rained out Friday. And first laps was on Saturday. And we run a few practice laps, put tires on it in second practice, and qualified and raced. It was all good. So I like it personally, as long as everybody else is on the same playing field. I don't know. It's kind of tough. I don't necessarily believe in all the testing the week of and all, but it's kind of hard to cut it out. I know I don't know. I don't do it, and I've done it before, so it's hard to say. It's kind of double-edged sword there. Some people are for it, some people against it. It's kind of tough, but I definitely like to do the one-day show deal.
So if we do a one-day show, are you for like that 1 hour practice, or would you rather have the practice how the Cars Tour has it set up, where you get like 30 minutes here, then there's a break, then you get 30 minutes, then you get like, I guess, another one for like 15 minutes or whatever? Which one would you prefer on a one-day show?
The split practices definitely work better in our favor, because it's so hard to have, say if you only got one practice and it's 1 hour straight, it's so hard to sit there and diagnose everything that you need to, the car, the adjustments, everything that needs to happen in that 1 hour is so tough. Where like after, I like the short practices, 30 minutes or 15 minutes, because you can go out there and run and kind of get a feel for it, and then you can get out of the car, sit and listen to other people, what they look or what they saw, and then talk about it and then make a change and go from there. Personally, I like that, but I'm sure some people don't. But to me, that works better. And plus, it gives you more time in between, because it's so hard to get out of the car, make an adjustment, get back in, and go back out there and run. It's tough. So to be able to have them split up works better for me and my team.
Well, I'm gonna be honest with you, man. If it's not broke, don't fix it. Y'all just show up on Friday at Langley, don't even unload the car, let everybody else practice on Friday. Y'all go eat seafood, and then just come back on Saturday and go. Just go do the same thing, man. I love the camaraderie, because I think you probably agree with me on this. I just feel like it's a traveling family kind of thing. You always want to hang out and kind of connect with guys, and you've got people that you hang out with and you'll drink a beer with, and it's fun. I think there's a camaraderie thing going on there too, but I think too there's just so much money that can be saved, I think, by making it one-day shows. And granted, I know that there's a lot, there's some people, the travel aspect of it where, well, they might stay one night anyway, but maybe it's just staying one night instead of staying 2 nights, because when we go to Hickory, we got to go up, spend Friday night, and usually by the time the race is over, we're not going to drive back on Saturday night. We'll stay Saturday night. You can drive up Saturday morning, stay Saturday night, and you're only spending one hotel room. So I think there's some ways that they can. And look, I've talked with the Cars Tour. I know they're working on some things and some for 2021 as far as some rewards programs and stuff for hotels and stuff like to kind of make it more cost effective, which I'm really excited about for. Not just the sponsors and people that support the series, but the drivers and the teams and the car owners and everybody that's on the traveling circus, so to speak. So
speed gypsies.
Yeah.
So
which I guess in the negative thing, is just say if you did have a problem in practice or something, usually you can diagnose it Friday and be ready to go Saturday. Well, if you only get say an hour of practice and you can't fix it before the race and you're kind of out a weekend, I guess is the only thing that sucks. But I don't know. I mean, so I like to race and race as much as we can. But I do know it is tougher for the series and to get fans and all. But as far as I feel like, and I might be totally wrong, but as far as spending money, you spend a little bit more money to race, say, a Friday night and Saturday than you would just one weekend, but you get paid for 2 nights of racing too.
Yeah.
You might buy an extra set of tires, but you also got 2 races in. So at the end of the year, and you got more racing, I feel like, and more bang for your buck. But I don't know. I've only done that, I think, once where we run back-to-back nights, and it was cool. Went down to Pensacola one year and practiced on Thursday, raced Friday, just because we ain't never been there, and raced Friday, and then went to Mobile, Alabama Saturday and raced again. Well, got rained out, but was supposed to race. And I really enjoyed that. I like that. Like I said, that's how they used to do it in the old days, and I'd like to do it more.
I have the ultimate doubleheader weekend for 2021. Run at Tri-County on Friday night and run at Hickory on Saturday night. Cars race on Friday night, cars race on Saturday night. They're killing 2 birds with 1 stone.
There you go.
Yep.
I feel like they put on 2 great shows.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
that's another thing, too. I feel like a lot of people don't realize, but I feel like another reason why the Cars Tour is so good, because we run a lot of laps. We run 125 minimum to 150. And some of them racetracks, they might not show good racing because the races are so short. And that's what is tough nowadays. Cars are so competitive and so equal, it's hard to really do anything in 40, 50 lap races.
Yeah.
Where in 125 lap races, tire wear comes into play, handling plays. So a lot happens. Your car changes, and you see a lot more passing, I feel like, and especially at a track like Tri-County, tires starting to wear.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've seen it before. You got people that get out there and run hard and burn them up, and then you got people that are kind of riding. So a lot of passing, a lot going on. I feel like that helps the show too.
Yeah, that's actually an interesting point. You were talking earlier how the people that put a lot of money into their supers can really get a huge advantage. Do you feel like in the late model, the people that put the money in like that, do you think they can get the same advantage, or do you feel like it's kind of the gap is more narrowed or whatever?
I don't feel like you can get as big of an advantage as you could the supers. At the end of the day, late model stock, you still got to get that thing to turn and drive off the corner. And anytime you get it closer to doing both, you're going to be faster. That's what I've saw. Or like the supercar, it's so frustrating last year. I felt like we had really good race cars at times at some of the races, but I'd still be a tenth or 2 off. I'm like, daggone, I'm like, I don't know what else to do to make it any better. I feel like it's as good as it can get. Where like late model stock, I've started noticing the better I get the race car, the faster we go and the better we run. So that's what I like the most about it.
Right on, man. Well, look, I appreciate the time, but we've had you on here, and I want to give you the opportunity to thank some sponsors. I know that it takes a lot of people to make this thing happen for you. I want to give you an opportunity to thank those individuals, and then we'll ask you some final questions as you leave.
Yeah, I definitely got to thank Jimmy Moore, everything he does, Brandon Risley, Kirk, Solid Rock Carriers, everything they do for us and the car store. Rayvon Clark, everything he's done and helped us, man. He's been there with us. Asphalt Services does a lot for us. And then, of course, Marcus Richmond and everybody at RNS Race Cars.
Right on, man. What does it take to Jared Fryar to go back-to-back and be in victory lane at Langley Speedway on Saturday night?
First, all it takes a good race car and a lot of luck, man. I'm telling you, that's one thing people don't realize, but it takes luck to win these races. Yeah. I felt like I've had a good car, and like the Hampton Heat, I felt like we've done everything right there. Just the way the end of the race played out, like nothing went our way.
Yeah.
You know, the line that we were getting in was not going, so I couldn't pass, and then we ran out of laps. So it takes a lot of luck, and a good race car is the biggest thing. I mean, you still got to be there in contention in the front at the end of the race. So hopefully we can be there and have a strong run again.
Sounds good, man. Well, Jared, I can't thank you enough for coming on the podcast tonight and talking a little bit with us. Again, like I told you, you're on my short list of folks to call. Winning on Saturday night at Franklin County just moved you to the top of the list, and we wish you the best of luck this weekend at Langley Speedway. And hey, man, if you guys decide to go down and test at Carteret on the Thursday before the Cars weekend, come on into Moonshiners with us and join us for our live show down there that we're going to have on Thursday night.
Yeah, we might just do that. Even if we don't test, we might come down there and hang out.
Well, we'll have cold beer, and I know that you like cold beer, so.
Oh yeah.
So we'll have cold beer. We'll have a good time, man. But Jared, again, good luck to you this weekend, man. Thanks for coming on the show, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, and appreciate y'all inviting me.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, thanks. Have a good one, man.
You too.